Hey there, this is Beth Parrish with Inspired Riding. I'm a remote coach and certified riding instructor. I encourage equestrians to regain their mojo so they can feel safe, confident, and connected to their horses. In this podcast, I'm going to give you some tips on performance anxiety. Riding horses can be a complicated sport by itself. Add to that the pressure of competition, as well as the fear of being judged by your peers. It can become daunting to say the least. There are so many nuances to performance anxiety and nerves around being seen by others. Let's break them down by specific issues, along with possible solutions. Here's an issue: feeling nervous before a competition. Here are some solutions. Be sure you have a checklist for all that is needed and continue to focus on each task at hand. This will make you feel more organized and your mind can relax, knowing that you've planned ahead. Give yourself a lot more time than you think you need. Rushing will only make you feel more anxious. Take your time and aim to get to the competition as early as you can. If you can, bring someone to help you. A support team is always a wonderful thing. If you can't, then focus on how much fun you have with your horse and how grateful you are to have this opportunity. Drink water with electrolytes to help you stay hydrated. I know I have trouble eating before a competition, but somehow manage to eat half of a banana. Just do what you can and bring a variety of snacks from home that you know you enjoy. Breathe deeply and visualize your ride going perfectly. Take the time to do this to help you settle into your body and get your mind ready. And that's probably one of my biggest tips for anything in life. If you visualize it first, it's going to help you relax into what you'd like to do. And then my last tip for before a competition is actually to start yawning several times. This will send your body the signal that it can relax and let go of tension. So what happens if you get anxious during the ride? Here are some solutions. I've developed some power tools, is what I call them, and they come into play big time. So you basically can say an empowering mantra to yourself. Something like, I've got this. I totally know what I'm doing. I am powerful. I love my horse and my horse loves me. And then you can ignite your bookmark feeling to stay present. So basically you would think of something ahead of time that reminds you to stay in your body. So for me, I'll just touch my horse's mane and that reminds me to stay present. So be very mindful of your self-talk. If you say to yourself, I'm freaking out, that's probably not going to help. So say instead, this is getting exciting, but I can totally handle this. Let's show them what we've got. This is our time to shine. Shift it to positive excitement instead. Breathe and talk to your horse. If you're unable to speak, just talk to your horse in your mind. Tell them you believe in them and that you're so proud of how you both work together. Shifting your fear to appreciation is a wonderful way to jump yourself back to being present and letting the fear dissolve. Imagine that you're at your home facility and you're just intending to enjoy the ride. Take the pressure off. And if you truly can't manage your fear, don't be afraid to stop your ride. I remember a student who felt her horse wasn't able to settle down and left in the middle of a large class of riders because she just didn't feel safe. I actually couldn't have been more proud of her. She trusted her instincts and knew it wasn't the end of the world to quit in that moment. However, if you are determined to keep going, it's quite useful to visualize what you need to do just a few strides ahead. Keep the images very strong in your mind and breathe into that perfect visual. I call this riding into your future. Get excited about this kind of time traveling. Fear can be shifted to excitement very quickly if you allow it. Now, what about getting nervous about people judging you? Here are some solutions. I love this quote from one of my favorite books. Whatever happens around you, don't take it personally. Nothing other people do is because of you. It is because of themselves. Don Miguel Ruiz, The Four Agreements, A Practical Guide to Personal Freedom. Quite simply, what people think about you is mostly about how they view things from their world. The more you can let it go and just do you, the better things will get. It's probably one of the hardest lessons to learn, but once you get to that place, it's incredibly liberating. The only real important thing you should consider is what your horse thinks of you. That's where you want to put your focus. Remember, you're not riding for anyone else besides you and your horse. With that said, I know it can be incredibly frustrating when Negative Nancy is right there on the side of the arena with a scrunched up face as you ride by. If you can find a way to send her love and realize that you're there for you and your horse, life will become so much easier and, dare I say, way more fun. On a more practical note, if you have serious anxiety about someone judging you, other than the actual show judges, then it might be time to look at why you feel this insecure. There might be something going on that is making you feel sad or just not yourself lately. Do your best to focus on self-care and seek out help from a therapist if needed. Speaking of show judges, please remember that they are still human. I've seen my fair share of amazingly kind judges and some of the opposite nature. When it all comes down to it, as long as you do your best, there really isn't too much you can do regarding what they will say and decide in the moment. Hopefully, they will share some of their golden nuggets with you on how to improve with your ride. I value every one of those comments from my dressage tests, even if they are hard to read. I know I've learned from more of my mishaps than I have from my successes. Critical, constructive comments create a roadmap for improvement. They help motivate as well. So how do you manage nerves around your own instructor? Here are some solutions. There are so many different kinds of instructor-student relationships. My hope is that you found an amazingly kind, supportive, and talented communicator. If not, it might be time to reevaluate who you're learning from. Many times, equestrians will put their own unnecessary pressure on themselves. The need for approval from their admired instructor can be overwhelming at times. Keep your focus on improving, but remember, you will have moments that just don't feel right. That's part of the learning process. Don't beat yourself up about it and learn from your mistakes. And if you have a kind instructor, they'll be patient with your progress. If you find you tune out your instructor, it might be time to have a discussion about your learning process. Some instructors will micromanage your riding time, while others will let you experiment after a few minutes of guidance. It's important to discover what works best for you and to feel safe enough to have a conversation with your instructor if you feel things need to change. If at any point you feel like you have an instructor that is constantly putting you down and you begin to dread your lessons, find a new one as soon as possible. If you really want to stick it out with this instructor, it might be worth it to take them to lunch and have a heart-to-heart about how you feel during your lessons. It's best to chat with them when you aren't with your horse about such things, as it takes the pressure off of both of you. Finally, and I've saved the best for last, if your instructor is asking you to do something you aren't comfortable with doing, by all means, say something. It's important to remember that your instructor may not be a mind reader, although it often feels like they are, and they may not realize that your instincts, your inner compass, is screaming at you to dial things back a bit. For the safety of both you and your horse, it is imperative that you get brave and tell your instructor how you feel. Your lesson can then shift to something you're more comfortable with until you're really ready for the thing that made you get butterflies. So those are my main tips for performance anxiety. Of course, I have plenty others for very specific needs. And actually, this whole podcast was taken from my brand new course called Face Your Fears. And it's all about losing your fear and bringing back the fun to your riding. If you'd like more information, please visit my website, inspiredriding.com, or find me on facebook.com/inspiredriding. Thanks for listening, and may the horse be with you, always.